I'm John Miglosh with the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Well, we got a lot of heavy-duty stuff today. Heavy. I got a commercial that's weird. I might throw it in, but it's too heavy. So let's do this one. And it says it's by this Tarun, but if you go over here and look, it's by Michael Hinshaw. This Customer Think website changes that name, changes the attribution. For some reason, it gets completely changed. And I wrote to one of the authors and showed them this, and they said it was me. Okay, well, I don't know how to do that to a website. It's you. It's your publisher, customerthink.com. Fix it. Nothing else changes, just the attribution. And I've done it a couple times wrong. So let's go on. Okay, I like this. Fall in love with your customers' pain points. You know, the American Marketing Association said the definition of marketing is find a customer need and fill it. Well, there's two steps there. One is find the need, and sometimes it's create a need. I think that was the problem with the definition. But let's just say there are needs, and usually you find a lot of entrepreneurs who have the need themselves, like the Will It Blend guy. Got a wedding present, got a blender that just went south weeks after he, got it as a wedding present, and decided he was going to build the best blender in the world, which I think he kind of has now. And he had something that annoyed him a lot, and now he has it. But the second step, and this is the hard part, it's human nature to fall in love with your solutions. See, I'd never thought about that exactly. In fact, I keep this on my dresser or whatever. I don't know if Periscope is working. I see black over there. Let's try it again. We'll try reposting. Yeah, there we're good. We're good. Okay. Anyway, I keep this up on my wall. The reason your great ideas don't get any traction is because you're giving answers to questions no one is asking. And that's kind of in the same genre, especially if you're selling commentary. Okay, so perhaps I'm answering the question: what are good pieces of marketing information, and gleaning that, and no one really wants to know if there's any such thing as good marketing information. But anyway, so the second aspect, after you have identified a need, and hopefully it's not just you, not just one person, but it's a big need, like global warming or cheap energy or something. Then the question is, can you find a solution? And so I've been looking at, I loved wind. I remember the first time I saw a big windmill, and I just thought it was so beautiful that we could harvest the wind. But then I get a little dizzy going through these big wind farms, like in Illinois. It's like it affects my brain. And now you hear about all the birds that get killed and the noise and how they just can't pay for themselves because wind is kind of a thin form of energy. So the second part is maybe don't fall in love with your solution. The need may be real, but you might not have the right solution to it. So you think about New Coke. I don't know if that's such a good... Illustrations are always tough. Quick Stir I've never heard of from Netflix, or I'd forgotten about it. And Nook. Nook was a wonderful little product. The trouble, and you know what's really funny is that Amazon Kindle, people still like those. We're going to get to why one product wins. Betamax would be a better illustration, where it was clearly better than VHS. 8-track was clearly worse than a lot of than cassettes. Finally, cassettes won, but 8-track was big for a long time. I had one in my car. Few will care about your solution when it misses the mark, even when you're trying to solve the right problem. And I think part of capitalism is you solve problems somehow, and then you go on, and it may be short-lived, your solution. Look at all the early automobiles. Look at all the early airplanes. There's a lot of shakeout that happens, and that's one of the fun things, and we're going to talk about that when we get to Mark's article. Companies make ill-advised investments in technology, systems, products, or services that actually make things worse. And I'm going to try and get to that. That's my last one here. But a friend of mine's company just, went under pretty much, and he had to sell, kind of a fire sale. And I don't know any of the terms. I'm just assuming. And but one of the things he said was suddenly they had to pay out $5 million in cash because of this instant sales tax ruling. And the retailers all laugh and say, now it's a level playing field. But it's not, because he had to pay it out in all diverse ways and change all kinds of computer systems. The other thing he said, they went all in on digital and analytics and changed their order processing and did a lot of things that didn't really move the needle, but were anticipating some great breakthroughs. But those things rarely give you a great breakthrough. So, bottom line, experiment. I love this. Michael. I'm all about it, especially in marketing. Try it small. Try it local. One of the great things about direct mail is you can try it in a sub-segment of your customers or a random small segment, and no one's going to know. Whereas if you do like Burger King did with their feeling meals, real meals, they called them, they were only able to roll it out in 5 locations, and yet they did a national ad campaign to try and help mental health, although I think it's backwards. I wanted to show it to you, but it's just too depressing. Okay, running experiments that validate what you expect to happen. Consider what happens when you show a website or user interface to a customer and they give you suggestions. Okay, but oftentimes your positioning can be refined. When we worked with Lovesac, they were doing lots of web, lots of digital, lots of some TV, some mass media, and a lot of digital advertising. And we helped them refine their message with mail. And then they rolled it out, and then they grew like crazy. So, start with a problem, but the right solutions only result from solving the right problems, but test multiple solutions. That's the kicker. Okay? Good article. Great article. Let's roll over to Mark Ritson. Mark, you suck me in with these clickbait headlines. I love it. Notice this is the same as the guy who wrote it. That's the way it's supposed to be, customer think. Okay, so he got to the United States and he said, since his last visit, suddenly a lot of places have legalized marijuana. North American culture improved overnight. We'll skip most of this. It's very funny, but, find it or write me. Only 3 or 4 brands. This is the important part. He says only 3 or 4 brands, national pot brands, are going to dominate the future American marijuana market. Okay? It's important to have the right position, the optimal media mix, and of course the right creative. But when you actually look at what drives advertising impact more than anybody else, it has to do with the scale of the brand behind the campaign. Okay? Great study. This John Philip Jones observed that a smaller brand with 10% market share required 14% share of voice to retain that level of sales. In other words, they had to be doing 14% of the ads in that category, right? They had to talk louder than their competitors in order to be heard. In contrast, a big brand with 25% of market only required a 20% share of voice to retain the top position. That's why Rayovac can run all the ads they want, but you remember the Energizer Bunny. I don't know. Duracell? I don't know. The other thing is if you ask consumers who's running the bunny, they'll get it wrong. Because we have room in their heads for the one brand leader. The pre-existing annual revenue of the company doing the advertising, and it shows that at about 19% you break even. So the clear lesson for the 100 and something marijuana brands is work like crazy right now. Raise money to dominate the advertising. And your advertising. So get to the top of the mountain in the next few years, which means if you are a little marijuana brand with a better product, don't hang on to all your equity. Go raise money. It's better to have 10% of Microsoft, like Bill Gates, than it is to have 100% of Miglosh Marketing. Financially speaking, it might be better. I might have a better lifestyle. Anyway, we got too many things to cover, but I wanted to get those two. Great article. In most mature categories, the story of the brand supremacy is an incredibly boring one. Breakthrough does not happen very often. And when it does, usually the leader will buy the other one. Billions and billions will come later, are mostly earned in the next few feverish years of competition. It's a new category. You got to understand the way it's played. And if you're an emerger, like I said, raise money big right now. It's your last chance. Okay? Like and share, subscribe on Periscope, download the app, and you'll know when I'm coming on live. I'm John Miglosh. Bye-bye.